I mean, he kicked the cat. Have you seen the video?
I have seen the video, and I have 3 cats at home, and I love cats. He's issued what seems to be a heartfelt, contrite apology. I don't buy the line where he says this was isolated. Things like that aren't isolated. I'm sure he didn't decide to kick the cat, get it filmed for the first time. So ignoring that, I think we should be careful about how much we push against this guy. He's pulled out of today's game because he felt unwell and a lack of vision or something. You know, unfortunately, history tells us in recent years that if you pile onto people, then they can do stupid things. And I worry about Kurt Zouma and how he, as a 27-year-old man, is going to cope with this week in, week out, with when he goes away and there's 50,000 fans hating him at Old Trafford. You know, you can't switch off at 5:15. That will stay with you. And I worry about this pylon. I don't know what more he can do. He's been fined $250,000, which is irrelevant. He's probably offered to go on an RSPCA shift.
Well, we don't know whether he has.
Well, but what more can he do?
Well, I mean, to be honest, he shouldn't. I mean, I'm sorry, but I respect your defence of him, but then it's for him. He is now in the position of that defenceless animal, and I don't think he's liking it much at all.
So I agree with your concern in terms of his mental health. I can see how that could escalate and that could become a really bad situation. But to me, my question is, you know, like yours, this is probably not an isolated situation. And what makes me really worried is if he's treating animals like this, how is he treating people around him like this? And also, to have someone who would film it and then laugh, and their children, I think it's not just Kurt Zouma that needs some education.
It was his brother, wasn't it?
I think it needs his family members also need to be, given some kind of training courses around this. But I think this speaks to a wider issue. You know, our education system does not talk enough about the need to be kind to animals and to treat them with respect, and I think that that's what we need to be aiming towards. But you know, I agree that there shouldn't be such a pylon. I think he needs to learn from this and to try and reform himself. But the question is he able to do that?
I don't have any sympathy for. Listen, what do I want? So many things. No, I don't have any sympathy for him whatsoever.
What do you want?
Listen,
do you want him to leave the club?
I don't like the whole pylon thing because someone's done it to me and there was no real justification for it. On this case, I can understand why people are rightly furious. But the problem here is that nobody told him to, first of all, do it. Secondly, to post it or put it on WhatsApp or wherever it went. And then for him to even think that that'd be OK to film, to have this thing filmed, and then to put it on something where other people would look at it. I mean, I think that there's some real disconnect with this person in terms of mentality. And I agree that there could be an element of mental health. But I personally, if I'd done something like this, which I absolutely would not, I can totally see why now he feels ashamed. But he is now being put in the position of the defenceless animal.
What do you want, though?
What do I want?
To happen?
Well, what I think, first of all, if it were me and he were in my team, I'm afraid he would have to go. Simply because that is not, to me, that is a cruelty that I cannot accept. He would have to go. Otherwise, it would be at the expense of sponsorships, which is what's happening, and the expense of the other players who don't deserve that. So, unfortunately, there are some things that you will do in life that will cost you dearly.
But what about rehabilitation? The whole
yes, you can rehabilitate.
Sorry.
I didn't say that you wouldn't rehabilitate it. I hope that you could. But
I strongly believe in rehabilitation. I think that we should allow people to try and reform themselves once they've made a mistake. And he's a 27-year-old man with a lot of money. He's with a lot of money, and he has the means.
Really relevant,
but he has the means and the ability to reform himself.
He's old enough to know.
So he should be able to do that. But I think that we should look to people with kindness, because at the end of the day, what if someone we knew that we loved did that same thing? Would we react this way towards them?
I would, yes.
You would?
I would, absolutely. They would be out of the circle of trust, for sure. I couldn't stand that. I wouldn't tolerate that at all.
But with attitudes like your position, the whole point of custodial sentences end up being irrelevant, because the whole point of a sentence, whether it's custodial or maybe something in society, is to show your repentance, is to try and teach you what you've done wrong and not to do